Hey guys, it's Ajax here from Team High Society again, and I'm making this video to talk about racing. Not racing with your friends in the park, but actually going to like a sanctioned or a planned racing event. We're going to go over two sections: what to do and not do as a racer, and what to do and not do as a race organizer. There's probably far more racers out there than organizers, obviously. So we're going to start out with what to do as a racer. Number one, have your racing quad in good working order. Don't go to the race with something broken that you are expecting to have the time and ability to fix in the pits beforehand. You might be traveling. You don't know what the situation's going to be. Make sure that everything is working to the best of your ability before you go. That being said, if you're racing, there's a good chance that you're going to be pushing your limits and, learning the track, etc. So you should be prepared for repairs. If you don't have a toolkit specifically for going on the road and racing, you should probably make one. In fact, I might do a video about what I take when I go to a race. Number three, use good quality parts. Now, one of the biggest issues, if you've ever been to a race or even watched it, one of the biggest issues is always video interference. So, when I say use good quality parts, I'm mainly talking about the video side. The camera, the transmitter, and the antennas. Really, if you want to fly, $3 motors and a $5 frame, rock on. But that doesn't affect anyone else. Having bad video affects everyone. So let's talk about it. Good quality components. I think there's really only 3 VTXs on the market right now that are worth talking about. And the reason is because all 3 of them have the ability to do pit mode. They have the ability that when they turn on, they don't splatter the entire band. And 3, they are both frequency and power agile without having to take stuff apart, touch dip switches, or use some kind of tool to touch a physical switch. So let's go over those 3 options. The first one is a TBS Unify Pro HV. And the HV versions are pretty much what you want to get for everything. They're only a couple bucks more in most cases, and they allow a much wider input voltage. That allows you to power off of pretty much any power source that you have, whether it's a back or off your PDB, or in a lot of cases straight off the battery. Also, the TBS Unify Pro is smart audio capable, and that gets into the being frequency and power agile. You can, without turning on your VTX or without transmitting, you can set the power level and the channel and all of that right from your video transmitter. Your actual radio transmitter. I'll link, if you look in the doobly-doo, I'll have a link to smart audio and how to set it up. But that's the TBS option. If you don't like TBS or you just can't get your hands on them, maybe try something like the Tramp HV. And here's a Tramp HV in the box. And this is also power and channel agile without actually touching it. And here, let me demonstrate. So they make a wand, and what you can do is you can mount this inside your quad, and then without even having to turn it on, you can use the wand to set the frequency, the power level, call sign, all that good stuff. And that was without having to touch a button. As you can see, this is still in the box. It's not even plugged in. It's not hooked up. But with this, we have the ability to read it and set it hands-free without taking your quad apart. So that's a good option. Also has the same features of not splattering the band when it plugs in. Has the pit mode, has an ultra low power mode, won't burn up at the line. It's a good transmitter. What I'm using in these is the LaForge 25, 200, and 400. And this has a, I don't know if you can see up, there's a little hole there and there's a little switch, but I can actually switch it into pit mode, which means I can power it up, make changes to the quad, do repairs, and it guarantees no transmit or no power is transmitted at all, no signal. Also, with the LaForge, you can get this wand, and you can set the power and the frequency and call sign without turning it on or without broadcasting. So while it's in pit mode, you just use this and you can program it right through the polycarbonate. In this case, obviously because it's clear, I can just program it right through the case. I don't have to take anything out, I don't have to take anything off. Easy. So those are the three transmitters that I think are worth talking about. As you can see, they have good input voltages, except for other. I should say that's the only downside on the LaForge, is that it takes 5 volt only. I think they'll probably be fixing that in the next version, but other than that, all three of these have a pit mode. They can change the power and the channel without touching the quad very easily. And they don't splatter the band when they power up. I left one thing out here with the video transmitters. I know we talked about the 3 video transmitters that I think are worth using and should be the standard for all races. If you want to, the absolute minimum that you should have for a video transmitter is one that you can see not only the channel, but the band and the channel visually without having to cycle through a button. And if it has a button, it should be easily accessible without taking the quad apart. So this one has an FX799T, and I no longer use this transmitter. This just happens to be in a quad that I only fly, for fun fly stuff like that. It has the channel and the frequency, or a separate LED for the channel and the frequency, so I can look at it and know without having to, cycle through something, which always causes the option of switching the channel or something bad happening. I can see it from the outside of the quad here. Now I can also use my finger to press the button without taking the quad apart. Again, I don't use this anymore because personally I think it's worth spending the money to get something that's more accessible and is better for my fellow racers, but at the bare minimum, this is something that you need. You need to be able to see what channel and frequency it's on, or channel and band it's on, and get to the button to adjust it easily without taking it apart. The other thing is that this is only 200 milliwatts, and a lot of the races now are going to 25. So anyways, that's an example though of the absolute bare minimum. If you're using a Banggood thing with dip switches, I'm sorry, you probably shouldn't be racing. Again, it's fine for when you're flying in the park with your buddies, but when you're going to an event where there's money and people have spent their time to get there and possibly other money to get there, make sure that you have a good video transmitter. Next thing, as far as quality parts, is your antennas. Make sure that your antennas are in good condition. These have a little bit of wear and tear on them, but the cable is still intact and there's no crimps, super bends, or cable exposed. Visually inspect them and make sure that there's no loose connections between the actual brass adapter and the cable. A lot of times after it crashes, there's a weakness there. Just make sure they're in good condition. And along that same line, make sure that you have right and left hand antennas. If you show up to a race, it doesn't matter if the race coordinator asks you to or not, just have a look-see, and if everyone else is running right, then you run left. If everyone's running left, you run right. It'll do yourself and everyone else a favor. Just have those antennas with you. If you're racing, that should be part of your gear. All right, that's enough with the quality parts. I think we've beat that horse enough. Now, the next thing is, if you have to make a repair, test the quad in the pits before you go to the line. I can tell you from experience that I have repaired a quad, thought it was fine, gotten ready for the next round, qualifying round nonetheless, and went to flip the switch and it wouldn't arm. So I lost out on that. Make sure that you test before you go to the line. Circling back, once again, I know we're beating the horse, but if you have a good quality transmitter, you can power this thing up and fly it around in the pits, and you're not gonna knock anyone out of the sky. Pit mode's a great thing. The other thing is, if you're racing, maybe you ought to have a spare quad. You notice here that I have two identical quads. They have the same components. I can switch between them. I can use one quad for spare parts if I have a serious failure. The other thing is video issues. If I'm flying this and someone says, we think that there's something wrong, something's been damaged on your transmitter and you're causing video interference, you can go, okay, fair enough, cool. Hold on 1 second, get your other quad, plug it in and go. If you're still having video interference with your brand new quad with all new pieces, then it's highly unlikely that it is also damaged. It's more likely that there's a harmonic or someone else is having receiver issues. So that's a race coordinator issue at that point. It's very easy just to say, okay, well, we don't need to worry about this one. Let's go with this one. And if you're being accused of causing interference, trust the race coordinator that he has done the right thing and pull out. If you have some obvious way of switching over real quick that may allow you to continue to do that, but don't be a pain in the neck. Trust me, everyone just wants to race, and you arguing about it isn't going to make it any better. Doesn't always mean that you're not in the clear, but don't be that guy who's arguing, oh, my stuff is fine. If you don't have a way of proving it, trust the race coordinator. All right. Lastly, two things. At the end of the race, ask if there's anything you can do to help. Sometimes you'd be surprised. The guy talking or coordinating the race maybe just wants a bottle of water or something. Be a nice guy and ask if there's anything to do to help. If you lose like a winner. Don't be a jerk. Get him next time. Good sportsmanship. That should be a no-brainer. All right, well, that's pretty much it for the racer side. Now let's talk about what to do as a race organizer. If you are organizing a race and someone with a lot of experience shows up and has a tip for you, you would do well to listen to what they're saying. You don't, just because they say it doesn't always mean it's right. But if these people have experience and they're telling you something, you might want to listen to them. It's easier to fix beforehand than wait until the middle of the race and try to fix things then. Plan. Don't leave stuff to chance. People are counting on you. They might be coming from other states, driving a couple hours from somewhere else. Make sure that the venue is squared away, that everyone knows what you're doing, and things are planned out so that when they get there, you're prepared and you have a race for them. Next, take care of track design. Seating can affect video for the entire race. Make sure that you're far enough away from the track and that you're also far enough away from the spectators in the pit so that if you can eliminate that as a video issue. Have the tools to troubleshoot video issues. Video issues are going to come up. It's the recurring theme here. Have a little handheld spectrum analyzer and a power meter. I'll have links in the doobly-doo to affordable tools like that. Keep people safe. Make sure that if there are restrictions to the venue, that you let the pilots know, and try to make sure that you account for that in the track design and everything else. We want to make sure that we're all ambassadors to the sport, and if we get an event or get a venue and then just, go buck wild and fly like, outside of the rules they've given you, this could be a problem. This will ruin it for all of us. and there's already enough people ruining the hobby. Let's not lose racing as well. And lastly, understand the frustration of video issues. It's going to come up. You need to be cool about it, but firm, and try to be fair. You know, there's always two sides to every story, and you know, if someone is having video issues and it's possible that it's on the other side, but there's no proof, if you can, try to work them in with another heat or something like that. Understand that they're going to be angry, because if you've ever had video issues, it sucks. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. If you want to take me to the woodshed about anything I've said, put it in the comments below. If you have any other suggestions about tips that you have as either being a racer or a race organizer, leave them below. That'd be great. And please sub and come back for more. Thanks a lot.